Love them or hate them, they've got a purpose. Hey friends, welcome back to the Renewed Homestead. Ben and Denise here. We are out in the creek garden and we are going to be looking at weeds. I know you've heard us talk about them before. They tell you this, they tell you that. We're actually going to get down to brass tacks and specifics, what those weeds are telling you, because I'm sure you have a lot of these weeds and we can diagnose problems from here. And you can sit on your couch and learn. How you like that? Sound like a good thing to do?
Sure.
All right, well, Doc, let's go check out some Doc.
Okay. All right, so we have our potatoes here, and then we have beans at the upper part of this garden. Now, y'all know this was an old depleted tobacco farm, and the soil is not very good. Now, we have made improvements, but we obviously still have a long ways to go to really improve our soil. And one of the things that we can do to determine what's going on with our soil is to look at weeds. This first one here is actually a medicinal powerhouse. We'll talk about that in another video, but this is dock. Now, what is dock telling me about this location? You can see it's everywhere. We fight dock quite a bit in this garden specifically. Dock's got a long taproot, similar with comfrey. So what it's doing is going deep down into the soil and it's trying to loosen the soil. So I can see by looking at this dock right away, we've got compaction, we've got heavy clay that doesn't drain well. That's exactly what the dock is telling me. We're probably also looking at a calcium deficiency. So one thing to note, when you're in your food garden, your food needs high levels of phosphorus, calcium, in some cases potassium. Weeds don't need all of that to grow. Weeds are not the enemy. Weeds are communicating something to us about what is going on with the soil. So as I stated, this is telling me this is clay, this is compacted, and it's probably needs some calcium. So what are we doing in here? We had Fabio in here, our ram. We're putting down lots of organic matter, compost, hay, manures, rotating the animals through. All of that is going to help us with some of these issues. Organic matter is really a solution to compaction. So is, what are those, the broad fork, hun? The broad fork, right?
Broad fork, yeah. And yeah.
Yeah, and a broad fork. We don't till, so we can come in and use the broad fork, which will help as well. I want to show you another weed, nasty weed.
And before we put Fabio in here, we had two great big piles of wood chips dropped in here, and we spread those out and let them start to break down.
Yes. So let me show you a nasty weed. All right, this nasty thing is horse nettle, and this stuff will sting the heck out of you. I do get this out of here as soon as we can because I don't want this propagating. This is telling me this is infertile soil, which we know. We know that this soil needs a lot more work. Now, where the potatoes are, we've got hay, compost, manure. We also put alfalfa down. So the potatoes are doing really well. But overall, this is infertile soil. And that's exactly what this nettle is telling me. Let's go.
Yeah, that is spiny. That's like a
stinging nettle.
Yeah, almost like a thistle or a rose bush. I mean, that stuff will poke you good.
It is nasty. And one thing I want to bring up, so when I pull these, and I've got to get in here and get some of these cut down so they don't seed, but I don't typically pull the whole plant. We'll come in here with a weed eater or a hoe and just chop the tops of these off, and then I will just let the weeds fall where they are. I do that for a couple of reasons. Hi, Frankie.
That's Frankie. She's always underfoot when you're working in the garden.
Yes, she is. She's a sweet girl. So number one, we know those roots are trying to uncompact, decompact the soil.
Loosen it.
Loosen it, yes. They're trying to loosen the soil. So we want to leave those roots in so they can do their job. The other thing, all these leaves, just like comfrey, since that taproot is so deep, these are bringing up minerals and nutrients from the soil. So if we just drop them where they are, those nutrients are going to go back in the soil. So not only will the roots loosen the soil, they're also going to feed the soil organisms while the root breaks down, and then the leaves are going to feed the soil. So I don't typically pull them up. I will pull up grasses typically just because I don't want grasses in here. But another thing we're trying to do is we're really going to try to propagate clover, because clover is going to act as a living mulch, and clover is also going to bring nitrogen because it's a nitrogen fixer. So we'll be working on that in the spring next year.
Yes, but those grasses, we pull them up and get the roots, but we just drop them right in place as well because those also break down.
Exactly. So let's go look at our food forest. I want to show you a couple other things. All right, so we are on one side of our food forest, and I wanted to show you the differences between what we have growing on this part of our food forest and another section. So this is sheep sorrel, and we've got a bunch of it that's actually growing in here, and we also have plantain. Now, sheep sorrel is a sign of acidic soil. It's also a sign that it needs some fertility. It's got some infertility issues. Plantain will grow in disturbed, compacted soils as well. Now, this is a lot better than it was, but we still have some issues to deal with. The sheep sorrel, I usually pull and just push down because I just don't want it to seed. You can see it gets seeds and have thousands of them, so it spreads pretty rapidly.
And grows thick. There's some seed heads right there. Oh. She grabbed them out.
Grabbed them out.
There they go. Oh, she threw those out.
So, and you can see like our strawberries are starting to take off, and we've got some horse nettle here. So we know the soil is acidic. We know that we've got some compaction because of the plantain, and we know we have infertility issues due to the sheep sorrel as well as the horse nettle. Now, I want to bring you down here and show you how it's completely different. This is up because the deer love to eat everything in here. So we've got to protect everything.
And when it's plugged in, that is a hot wire.
But I wanted to show you, we don't have the sheep sorrel in this section. We have some plantain, but we don't have the dock. And we have a lot of chicory. Now, chicory grows in more fertile soil. And we are propagating this not only for the roots, but our rabbits absolutely love chicory. We let it grow. The pollinators love it as well. So we know that the soil here is different than just what? Is that 200 feet away? If even that?
No, like 20 yards, maybe. Tops.
Okay, 20. I'm terrible at distance.
She's spatially challenged.
I'm spatially, it's part of my charm. So you can see that that soil there, just a little bit away, is completely different than the soil here. Let's go take you down here.
Oh, now hold on a second.
Oh.
You said we're saving the chicory for the roots. Why are we saving the roots?
You can actually, they're medicinal, and you can actually add it to coffee. Now you need to do it before they flower. These ones we're letting go for the rabbits, but you typically pull the roots up before it flowers, and you can actually use it as a coffee substitute or to flavor your coffee, and it's actually really good.
Yeah, and that giant bush thing looking right behind her, that is also a chicory, and it's nearly 8 feet tall.
It's
I had
huge.
no idea they got that big. But
I didn't either.
let's go to the other end here.
All right, so Queen Anne's lace. Down there, we know that's acidic soil. We're seeing the sheep sorrel come up. We know that we've got some fertility problems. Just a few steps away, we've got Queen Anne's lace growing. And you always want to make sure that you identify Queen Anne's lace before you do anything with it, because there are some toxic lookalikes, but this is Queen Anne's lace. And Queen Anne's lace actually likes more alkaline soil. So you can see the differences just a few feet away. And another thing about Queen Anne's lace, we let it grow wild. Parasitic wasps love Queen Anne's lace, so it helps bring in beneficial insects. So just an FYI.
And we didn't have to plant it. Take a moment here to enjoy our echinacea and all the butterflies enjoying it. Now, for people who are wondering, that end of the food forest to this middle section into the food forest, not really in, but the middle section is probably less than 100 yards, probably more like 50 yards.
And you can see here, there's not a lot of weeds in here. We have the blue false indigo, we've got a lot of comfrey, we have our leeks, we have our raspberries, and we've got some clover growing because, as y'all know, we're trying to get this clover to spread out.
And my Egyptian walking onion right there.
Your Egyptian walking onion. But you can see that this part of the food forest is completely different than that part of the food forest. And that's pretty common. So you can have one garden area that, 100 feet, 50 feet could be different soil. So weeds are communicating what's going on with your soil. Okay, and another thing I wanted to mention is where we just left, lamb's quarter was growing in there earlier in the year, and lamb's quarter needs fertile soil, and it's typically a sign that it's higher in nitrogen. So you can see just within 50 feet, 100 feet, we actually have different soils. This part of the food forest needs a lot more work than up there. But how are we going to solve it? We're going to use organic matter, and that organic matter is going to continue to heal. And then we're going to also continue to encourage the propagation of clover. And we've chosen clover and strawberry as our ground cover because clover can grow in poor soils, and it can actually help improve that soil, and it's a nitrogen fixer. So,
and it doesn't get tall, need to be mowed, which would be a great idea if you live in an HOA.
That's true. Great for the pollinators.
Great for the pollinators.
Medicinal.
You don't have to go out and mow every week.
Yes, and one weed I forgot to bring up, which we have a soft spot for dandelion because dandelion's edible. It's a great medicinal. But we had a lot of dandelion earlier in this year in the spring on this side of the food forest. Dandelion, also a sign of compaction, but it's also a sign that your soil is low in calcium. So they're communicating to you what's going on with your soil. So soil tests are great to get to really see what nutrients you're deficient in, but you don't necessarily need a soil test if you just start to learn what each weed is actually telling you or trying to tell you, I guess is the right.
Yeah. And the fix is in. Doesn't matter what the soil problem is, the fix is going to be the same. You're going to take your comfrey, you're going to chop it, and you're going to drop it, let that break down. You don't have comfrey, head on over to renewedhomestead.com and get you some comfrey and a hori knife while you're there. You might as well get some plantain salve too, while you're at
Comfrey plantain salve.
Comfrey plantain salve, yeah. And make sure you sign up for our October 5th get-together here in Burnsville, just to meet and greet and hang out and get to know each other. I didn't mean to run into a commercial there, but yes, so you're going to chop and drop your comfrey, and we keep bringing up rabbit poop as we have it, and
compost is huge.
Yep, exactly.
When you clean out your chicken coops, you can use that. Now, you don't want to use fresh chicken poop on your plants because it can burn them, but you can set that out to actually break down over a few months and then use that. The same with donkey, horse, cow manure, as long as it doesn't have chemicals in it.
Yeah.
Especially graze-on.
Or if you're using wormers,
Yeah, wormers can also create issues. Now, wormers aren't as big of an issue if you're letting it sit for a few months,
right?
But the graze-on absolutely is.
Right, but yeah, the chicken poop, do that over the winter. Let your garden sleep, let it rest, let that stuff break down, and you're good to go in the spring to plant your garden.
Absolutely. So these are just a few things that you can look for. Most people have dandelion. A lot of people end up with dock. Sheep sorrel is very common. So plantain is absolutely common. Plantain grows everywhere all over the world.
And it's edible.
Edible, it's medicinal. Plantain's one of the greatest weeds you can have. But if you see plantain, you know the area's either been disturbed or it's very compacted. So there's your sign.
Here's your sign.
Okay, so yeah, just lots going on, lots of bugs, lots of pests. We'll talk
Yeah,
about that in
and,
another video.
and sorry we didn't get this out to you sooner. We've been doing VBS this week, so we've been tied up.
That's Vacation Bible School, if you didn't know.
Yes.
Not everybody knows what that is. Yeah, we've been helping the kids at the church. It's been a great time, and that wrapped up last night, and we had a great time with the kids.
Yes, we did.
So anyway, all right, everybody. Well, make sure you give us a thumbs up and subscribe, and little heart in the comments, or a smiley face at least. And yeah, we'll be praying for you, and we appreciate your prayers. Take care, everybody. God bless. We'll see y'all in the next video.
Bye, y'all.
Bye-bye.
Mountain mint. Smells yummy.
Make it so.